am so excited. I've been looking forward to doing this episode for a really, really long time because I am joined by my two very best friends in the whole entire world. Welcome to From the Heartside Out. Tell the people who you are and how we know each other, how we met.
Yes. So I'm Bri. Hey, y'all. Sierra and I have been knowing each other since 2012. So it's been a 12-year friendship. We've grown a lot together. We actually met at orientation for college. So the summer before going into our freshman year. And we have been thick as thieves ever since.
Ever since.
Hi, I'm Alexis. Me and Sierra also met in 2012, so a whole 12-year relationship for all of us. And I actually met Sierra through Bri because they had met at orientation, and me and Bri had gone to high school together, so we already had a friendship. And it's been the three of us ever since.
Yes. It's wild that it's been 12 years. Like I was thinking about that earlier. Just like that's a good long time.
Time flies.
Yeah, like that is. I'm like, I have a 12-year-old sister. We've been friends her entire life.
Wow.
Over a third of our lives.
Yeah, that's wild.
When you put it into perspective like that, that's crazy.
That is crazy. And I used to forget if you and Bri, if y'all were friends in high school, or if y'all just knew each other in high school. But y'all were friends in high school.
Yeah, so we became friends senior year. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Okay, and then college brought us all together, and we've been thick as thieves ever since. Yeah. So I want to go back to 2012, back to the beginning. What a time. I mean, wow. What a time when life was so much easier than it is right now. Ugh, the good old days. What do you remember I can't even say the most. Like when you think about 2012, when we met, that first year of college, what comes to mind for y'all?
So y'all don't know what first came to my mind? 935 days.
That's what I was gonna say too.
Yeah, not classes,
not the classes.
935.
That was 935. R.I.P. 935.
Man, they need to bring that back.
I have
like we were together all the time. Like when were we not together? We ate together.
Yes.
Every single day we saw each other. And we didn't even, I don't think any of us had classes together, but we would go to class and meet up and then go out. And
not that first year. We ended up having a class together eventually, didn't we, Bri?
I think so.
Yeah, but not that first year. Yeah, but I'm like, we ate dinner together at 7:00 every day.
Oh, wow, we sure did.
We did. We were
library.
Yes, we did go to the library. We were studying and doing work. We did.
The entire time.
Exactly. Only on Thursdays.
Now, did we act up in the library too? Maybe a little bit.
Maybe. But the work got done. We all graduated. We got degrees and whatnot. So, yeah. What do you feel like drew us together? Because I'm like, yes, y'all were already friends. But what do you think drew us together or made our friend group like able to be a friend group?
I honestly think that we're all like-minded. Like we're all very different in certain ways, but we're very, very similar.
Yeah.
And I think that even back, it's so crazy because 12 years is a long time, and we have grown exponentially since we first met. But even then, we were very similar. And even now, we're still very similar. So I think that just at our core, like who we are at our core, we're just really similar people.
Yeah. I feel like even the things that are different about us, like I feel like we have similar values, like very similar worldviews. Like the important stuff, I feel like we have in common. Like there are definitely differences. We are definitely all individual people, but the important stuff I feel like we have in common. Because I knew I was going to ask y'all that. I was thinking about what my answer was. And I think I'm a big like quality over quantity person when it comes to friends. And it was just like these are real people. Like we got to know each other as real people. I was like, I like them as people. Like, it's not even just like, oh yeah, they're a good time to hang out with. Like, I like who you are, like how you think and how you see the world, like as a person. And that's still true.
I agree. And you even mentioned, like, we're all very different, but those differences, like, also, I feel like we help balance each other out too. Like, those different perspectives, like, means everything. That's part of my growth because of y'all's perspectives and, different things. Y'all open me up to a lot of stuff. Like, I feel like y'all can, agree to that as well. So I feel like our friendship, it was meant to be. Like, it was.
I think so too.
Definitely written, for sure.
I think so too, because I just knew after our first semester of college that I was going to transfer, because I was like, this was not my first choice school. I don't want to be here. I'm just going to stay here for one semester and I'm going to try to transfer. But I really think that y'all are a huge part of the reason why I was like, I can't see myself anywhere else. Like, I could not imagine my college experience being anything but what it was. Like, I don't think I could have had a better experience anywhere. Yeah, and y'all are a huge part of that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I want to do a question from We're Not Really Strangers. There's 3 categories. One of them is, the way I thought of it in my mind is me, you, and us. So me is whoever is asking the question. It is a question about yourself. You is, you can pick someone to answer the question, and it will be a question they're answering about themselves. And then us, you answer. Okay. So let's spin the wheel. Bri.
Okay.
So choose 1, 2, or 3, and I'll pick a card for you.
3.
Okay. Ooh. When was the last time you were a bad friend, and what could you have done differently?
Ooh.
Just so you know, I'm not lying.
Okay.
Yes.
That's a good question. I don't know that I would consider this necessarily being a bad friend, but I do think that I could have been, when I first moved to Houston, more intentional about our connection, Sierra. Right? So like Alexis and I live really close together and we're constantly hanging out and constantly chat because of the proximity. But I think that it takes a lot of intentionality in adult friendships in general, but also like the long distance friendships. Like, I know I see you every time I come home and we try to make it a point to do that, but even just reaching out, just random phone calls or, like scheduling FaceTimes and stuff like that. Like, I think that I could have definitely done a better job of that.
And I know we talk about this all the time of like, it always goes both ways, right? Of like, any of us can pick up the phone to reach out to start the conversation. And whenever there is like a lapse in us talking for a while, we feel it. We miss it. Like, we miss each other. And then we're like, we're never going to let this happen again. And we're going to talk every X amount of time. And then we remember that we are adults and busy and have a lot going on. And you had just moved like halfway across the country. I get it. It is hard. Like, it is hard to try to maintain the same type of connection when there is so much distance and so much busyness, and your job keeps you super busy too. Okay, let's do one more.
Good question though.
Yeah, I was like, dang, I didn't expect it to come out the gate like that.
Very deep.
Yes. Oh, it picked Bri again. I'm gonna spin it again. Oh, it picked me. Okay, I'm gonna do 2. Just, what do you want to make more time for, and what's getting in the way of that? I want to make more time for rest, actual rest, like doing nothing rest. And what is getting in the way of that is me, because I have come to terms with the fact that I might be a little bit of a workaholic. Like, I don't like having to work. I think it's very dumb and annoying that we have to work to like eat and live and survive. Like, I just think that's very dumb. I just don't think it's supposed to be like that. But I realize, like, when I'm doing stuff that I am excited about or I care about and I'm passionate about, I like working. And so the issue with that is I don't know how to stop sometimes. And then I'd be really exhausted. And I had a therapist one time who, like, she was asking, like, what does it look like when you take breaks, or like when you're resting from working? Like, do you do that? I'm like, yes, of course. Like, I'll take a break from working to like clean the kitchen or start laundry or, you know, like mop the floors.
Okay.
Like, she's like, that's not rest. And I'm like, well, usually if I feel really exhausted for a while, like I'll take a day or two off of work. And she's like, that's not rest either. That's recovery. That's like saying that you resting because you called out of work sick. So I'm trying to be better about actually resting.
Yeah.
I'm getting there. Slowly.
In what ways?
I am. So I have made adjustments to what my schedule is going to look like starting in the new year. I'm not seeing clients after 5:00 anymore.
Good.
And I plan to take more days off of work too, like actual days off. So I'm getting there slowly.
We'll definitely hold you accountable. I think it can be probably more difficult working for yourself, right? Because you feel like it's all on you. So like, you know, you kind of have to. But I recently started reading this book called Free to Focus, and it talks about rest and rejuvenation as a part of productivity. Because as you know, if you don't rest, like you're not going to be as productive. You're not going to be as creative. You're not going to be able to produce the things that you want to. So
that's real. Yeah. That is so true. Yeah, because I'm like, I think so much clearer when I've like gotten a full night of sleep.
Yep.
Or when I wasn't so busy working that I didn't eat till 3:00 in the afternoon. Like I always eat breakfast, but lunch, sometimes I'd be like, oh, it's 3:00. I should probably eat something again. And it's like, wow, I'm actually not angry and grumpy. I was just hungry. I'm working on it though. Yeah. So one of the things you mentioned, Bri, is y'all moved to Houston, not at the same time, like not together, but y'all both moved to Houston. And that's something I think about a lot when I think of our friendship, not just the move in particular, but just like growth and evolution and change and the ups and downs and how we've changed as people. And as a result of that, how our friendship has changed. And a question I had in mind was, what would y'all say when you think of like how some of the biggest ways we've changed individually, over these last 12 years, what comes to mind?
Dang, the changes.
I feel like a change that I've noticed, I think between all three of us, is that we're more empathetic as people. I think that just through time and life experiences, maybe we have become, all three of us, more empathetic than what we were, of course, at 18. You know, you think about teenagers, I think that, you know, you think you know everything, and the world is kind of like, it's about you. It's about me. But then I think as time goes on, or as time went on, we definitely became more empathetic.
So true.
Sierra, I think for you, the biggest change that I think of, and it probably comes with that empathy, you've always shown a lot of grace to people. I think you're recognizing as you get older, like, yes, showing grace and also that people need to exit out of your life.
Yes, there is a such thing as too much grace.
There's a such thing as too much grace. And it's so interesting because earlier you said you've always been a quality over quantity type of person. And I think that probably explains why you show so much grace to people. Like, I feel like you have a high tolerance for the people that you know and love. But I am happy to see the growth in, you know what, like, I'm choosing me. Yeah. Like, I'm going to choose me. So that's one thing that I noticed. For Alexis, I think the biggest change is probably just like the open-mindedness and the openness. I think especially from 18-year-old to now, like even now, like she'll say things to me to get me to be more open. And I'm like, I didn't even, you know, so I feel like that's such a huge change from just when we were kids, pretty much, right? Yeah. About the small town we were in and growing up in North Carolina, to like spreading wings and being exposed to so much. I think that that's the biggest thing I've noticed.
Yeah.
I want to say, like, I don't know if this was like a huge change because obviously, like, we weren't in our adult careers and things at the time, but seeing you two, like, doing the things you love and excelling, like, so well in it and seeing that professional side, like, that has been amazing. Like, you know, just seeing you pour yourself into being great at what you do and what you love, seeing y'all as adults and, you know, not the kids that was, you know, in 935 and, you know, eating at Crown and all that stuff, like that growth and just how much y'all have grown into these amazing women, like that has been a beautiful thing. So I don't know if that's like so much of like a change, but it's been something that, you know, is different and it's really nice to see and, you know, be a part of.
Yeah. I was gonna say something similar to what Bri said for you, Alexis. Like, I feel like we've gotten to watch you become more and more brave of just like, yeah, just doing the things and taking the risk. Like, I would not have described you as a risk taker in college, but I do think it started with changing your major in college. Like, because I'm like thinking about where we are professionally. You were in a completely different field than what you came to college to do.
My girl wanted to be a dentist.
Okay. And I'm like,
like what?
Like that, what? And it's like, could you have done that? Sure. You would have been great at it, I'm sure. But I'm like, seeing you do what you do, it's hard for me to picture you doing anything else.
No, this was her perfect job.
Yeah. I'm like, how did it take us so long to get to this? But once you found it, you was all in. Like, you've been all in. But yeah, just being brave and just like, yeah, I'm going to move away from my whole entire family by myself, just me and my dog, and we'll figure it out. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah. And she didn't, at the time Alexis moved, I wasn't moving to Houston. I was planning to Dallas. So I think that speaks volumes that, you know, she decided to take that leap.
Yeah. For you, Bri, I feel like similar also to like being more open, but specifically what comes to mind is more open to love, because you were such a loving person.
Why did I not say yes? That's the one.
You were such a loving person. Like, that has always been true. But I'm like, there was a time we couldn't get Bri to say the word marriage. Like, what is that? She had, like, we're not doing that ever. Like, no interest in that. Relationship, absolutely not. No, thank you.
Running at the first sign.
At the first sign. Like, literally. And now I'm like, you are such a lover girl.
Big time. Big time lover girl.
You are such a lover girl. And it's just, it just amazes me, and it makes me so happy, because I think you have always been a lover girl, but love is scary, you know? So sometimes we do want to run instead, but that is one of the biggest things that I feel like it doesn't surprise me that you are as successful as you are. I be telling people that you basically run your job, because as far as I'm concerned, you do. I think that is accurate. So, like, none of that surprises me. It doesn't even surprise me that you are such a lover girl. Like, it's just beautiful to see you own that and live in that and see it go well for you too.
Thanks, y'all. It took a while to get here, but I appreciate you all encouraging me along the journey and holding me accountable.
Yes, I'm like, because I'm gonna be in both of y'all's weddings, so that means y'all have to have weddings.
Have to.
So, yeah. Speaking of, yes, growth and change and life transitions, can you think of, well, first, just for folks who obviously don't know us and don't know what these last 12 years have been like, we have been friends through some of the highest highs and lowest lows of our lives in these last 12 years. We ain't necessarily got to do the whole rundown of every single event that has happened. But can you think of a time when one of us or multiple of us was going through a really tough time, or a major life change that impacted our friendship for better or for worse.
Yeah, I'll definitely go. I may or may not get emotional. We'll see.
Oh, I forgot to grab a tissue.
I know. We might need the tissues, Deb.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm ready.
So I mean, honestly, throughout our friendship, I'm just reflecting, I've experienced a lot of loss, a lot of grief. I lost my dad, I lost my grandma, I lost a partner, and just the regular everyday grief, right, in between too. But I think that the lowest moment of my life, or the lowest period of my life, was after I lost my partner. And y'all were there, right? Like, you were there. We were very young. We unfortunately have been through a similar experience before, but you, like, situations like that, you just don't know. You don't know how to be. You don't know what the person needs. I didn't know what I needed, but y'all were there. And I think that really matters. I know now, reflecting back, I was probably not the best to certain people in my life. I don't know that we've ever had that conversation. I feel like I go within, I retreat a lot when it comes to like healing and feeling. But I knew that I had a safe space with y'all, right? And quite literally, y'all carried me when I felt like I couldn't walk. And to me, I think it impacted our friendship for the better, right? Because to help me get through a time like that, like, we're stuck for life. I don't care what happens. Like, we're gonna get through it. We're gonna talk through it. We're gonna move through it, because vulnerability is not something that comes natural to me. And I think that the fact that I was able to be the most vulnerable and the most raw with y'all, like, literally, y'all are just sitting on the couch watching me cry, literally just talking. I'm upset. I'm saying things just left and right. Like, y'all let me have my process. My process was my process, and y'all loved me through it. I cannot be more grateful. And I know that I've expressed that gratitude, but I think now that I'm, 4 years removed, I will remember that for the rest of forever.
Even thinking about it being 4 years ago is like,
yeah,
that doesn't make sense to me. Nothing we could have predicted or expected or would have wanted. Like, we were all together that day, and it just was like, we are in this together, and obviously we're having a very different experience than you were having. It's like, as much as we can show up and be there and be present and carry you through this, I just feel like it wasn't even a conversation. It was just a, like, okay, unfortunately, here we are again, and we gonna figure it out.
Yeah, because I mean, we got to, and that's the thing we talk about too. Like, unfortunately, life goes on, so we had to figure out, like, all right, what is that going to look like? And supporting you and what that looked like for you. It wasn't a conversation. It was just like, okay, well, let's be there. Let's do what needs to be done.
Because I'd be daggone if I lose my friend.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That wasn't.
It was some very low moments. It was such a low time. But you're right. Like, it was like, okay, we gonna do it. We gonna get through it. And day by day, bit by bit, But I think that a lot of the words that you all poured into me, and it really just even being there. Like, I remember y'all just literally just sitting on the couch, and I'm just crying. But, like, that meant a lot,
Especially because you're not a hugger. Like, you don't want to be hugged while you're crying.
Oh,
yeah, so we sit there like this, like,
we're sitting okay.
I know Alexis was probably
like, yeah. And I feel like even in the midst of all of that, you gave us so much grace too to get it wrong. I know, like, there were so many moments I was like, why would you? That was so dumb. Why would you say that? Like, why? Like, that obviously was not the right thing to say. Or sometimes I would literally text you and be like, pretend I said something other than, I want to check on you and see how you're doing. Like, I obviously know you're not doing well, but, like, pretend that I said something good about, like, tell me how you're doing, and pretend that I didn't ask it in a dumb way, because I'm like, that's all I got.
Yeah. Sometimes all you can do is all you can do. There's no rule book for this stuff.
No.
especially when you're, what felt like 12 years old.
Yeah, for real.
I mean, I feel like there's so many, obviously, but I do think like a big one for me when we had our paint night, the virtual paint night for our first one.
Yes.
That was fun. And y'all know for me, like I'm not a super, super vulnerable person either.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to get emotional. But, and we've had conversations about therapy and stuff before. And remember, I was really reluctant to therapy in college. I was like, I don't need to talk to nobody. Like, what? I remember I went to a session. I was like, oh, I'm just here just because, I don't know.
Everybody else is doing it.
Let me just see. And she looked at me like, you're wasting my time. And I was like, okay, well, I ain't going to be here anyway, so I'm leaving. But then to like later, like go through an episode or like a season in my life, a very low time where I do feel like, I was going through a depression. And for me to open up and tell y'all that for that paint night, y'all were the only two that I said that to. Like, and really, I think the only other person I've told even since then is my sister. But that's how much I know y'all are there for everything. I can go to y'all about anything. For me, it was okay. If these are the two people that I'm going to for this, not my mom, not my sister, like y'all know we locked in. So for me, like that was a big eye-opening moment because I didn't even plan to go into that paint night and say that. But I was like, you know what? Let me pour it out.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a moment for me.
And again, more examples of you being brave. Like I'm saying a really hard thing for the first time ever. Like first you got to confront that for yourself and like have that moment of realization for yourself. And then I'm saying it out loud to other people. And I don't know how they're going to act or how they're going to react. And just like trusting us with that, like definitely says a lot. Cause I'm like, y'all done seen me be depressed before, like over these 12 years, who knows how many times, like, but it's like, yeah, that was not something that not something I was expecting to hear, but felt very honored that like you trusted us with that.
Yeah, I think just with that and knowing that you didn't plan to say it, I think it really does speak to the safety that we've created with each other, right? Like I do feel the safest with y'all. Like I feel like I could say something and not be judged. Y'all are just going to approach it with curiosity, right? Like really just approach it with curiosity and empathy. And I think that that's really important in a friendship.
Yes, absolutely. And it's like, because if I'm tripping or if I'm doing too much, y'all gonna tell me that too, but lovingly, and if I just need support, I can have that too. And I can get support, I can get accountability, I can get all of that. And I don't have to look, well, physically I have to look very far because y'all live far, but figuratively I don't have to look very far. Like I don't have to question who can I talk to about this, like who can I trust with this. I can say the most random unexpected things and y'all gonna be like, okay girl, and we're gonna move on.
Right, we're gonna love each other anyway. Like
yes,
like at this point, there's nothing that can come out of either of y'all's mouths that will change how I feel about you.
Yeah. And it's so, I like hear other people talk about their friendships or like see other people talk about their friendships online. And that's when I realized that what we have and what we've built and cultivated is kind of rare. Like it's not the norm for everybody. Like people worried about their friends being jealous of them or like secretly hating them or out dressing them on their birthdays. I'm just like, I'm just like, one thing about my friends gonna be cute. Like they're gonna be cute whether it's my birthday, their birthday, whatever. And it's just like I just also can't imagine having the type of friends where I have to like where it crosses my mind that you're trying to outdo me on my birthday.
Right.
Like, I can't wrap my mind around that.
Also, we're gonna help you pick your outfit.
Lord knows, because otherwise I'm not going. I'm simply not going. Tell me what to wear or I'm not going. Like, yeah, and I just like it is such a gift. One of the questions that I picked up from the cards, I'm gonna go ahead and ask it just because I feel like this is a good time. What have we taken for granted in the past, and what could we possibly be taking for granted now? I can't
like
find
with
it.
each other?
Yeah, like in our friendship. Oh yeah, what's something we used to take for granted and what's something we could be taking for granted now?
Yeah.
I think what we used to take for granted was the time. Like, I feel like adulthood came fast.
It did.
And I was
Adulthood came
like,
fast.
dang. And even though we pretty much did hang out like every day of college, at least like freshman and sophomore year, but like as those years got on and class loads got larger and stuff, like it wasn't, every day anymore. Like, and realistically, it couldn't, but
Yeah.
also like, yeah, now like the time is so like, spread out and whatnot. We're not in the same city anymore. So like even taking granted for the fact that we lived in the same city, when y'all left me at Charlotte for that one semester, I will never forgive you guys. But,
you moved halfway across the country.
I know. But still, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in Charlotte by myself. But yeah, time, I would say, for me.
No, that's real.
I definitely think with time, just like the proximity, like being so close to each other and having that regular access to like do girls' nights and stuff like that. Like, yes, we were together a lot, but I think that had I known that things would be the way they are now, I would have soaked that up even more.
Yeah.
So that's something that I think that we did take for granted. Something that I feel like we may be taking for granted now is I feel like we probably have more opportunities to lean on each other more, not just when things get to the point.
To the extreme.
Yes, right. Like I feel like we wait until things get extreme. Like Alexis telling us like, y'all, I think I was going through a depression. It's like, and in the moment you likely didn't even realize that's what it was, but just communicating what you're going through as you're going through it. I think all three of us need to do a better job of that. Cause I feel like we internalize and go within and keep things to ourselves and just try to work it out ourselves. And then it's like, we lean on each other and we're there to support each other. It's like, girl,
we could have did this 6 months ago.
Yeah. This whole time. I could have been holding you accountable this whole time. So I do think that we need to do a better job of telling each other before it gets to the peak.
That is so true. Yeah, that's really true. Because I'm thinking like, dang, when the last time we had a sleepover? Like, like we had sleepovers all the time just because we could. It's like, it was nothing but a walk or a shuttle ride to the other side of campus to have a sleepover. And now it's like, it's a vacation basically that we have to do. Yeah. And yeah, I agree. Like we could still be taking the time for granted and taking the safe space that we love and that we have created so intentionally for granted. Thinking about major transitions that like impacted our friendship. So we were talking about your loss, Bri, and 7 months later, I got married.
Yeah.
So we literally one weekend, y'all are with me wedding dress shopping. The very next weekend, the sky fell. And then 7 months later, the two of you are standing beside me as my maids of honor on my wedding day. And when I was thinking about, I think about that often, but when I was thinking about it recently, because I was talking to someone else about like friends being jealous or like not being happy for you. And I was just like, yeah, that's not my story. Like that's not my testimony. But I was thinking that there was a former friend who I'm not going to say she was jealous. I don't know that it was that, but I do remember like throughout the whole time I was engaged, I mean, up until wedding day and beyond, just feeling like, I don't think she's happy for me. Not because I think she hated my partner or anything like that. I was just like, I just don't think she's happy for me. And I was thinking about that and I was like, now if Bri could stand beside me after I said, listen, Bri, I ain't gonna feel no type of way if you say you can't do this no more. If you say you want to sit in the audience, if you say you don't want to come at all, I'm not gonna feel no type of way. I will completely understand that. Not only did the two of you plan my bridal shower like y'all had ever done that before.
During COVID.
Okay, in a city you didn't live in, planned my bachelorette trip, helped me make all types of decisions for the wedding, like, and dealt with all of the changes that we were having to make because of COVID. And I'm like, if Bri can be happy for me, I simply can't tolerate anybody who is not. Like, I could never excuse it for anybody else, to the point of like, one day you are sad about not being able to come, but then the actual wedding day comes and you don't acknowledge it. To me, you don't acknowledge it to me, I should say. And I was just like, when I have the complete opposite of that, and I do think it's situations like that that have made me not less gracious, but it makes my tolerance a little lower, because I know what it is like to be loved and supported and to have friends who like ride for me through thick and thin, good and bad. Like, we had, yeah, I just can't. Like, I just simply cannot. So yeah, for me, that was like a defining moment in our friendship of just like, y'all were just so there, so present, so supportive through so many changes and everything. And I was just like, these are my people. These are my people. Like, it was the easiest decision. It was so easy that I realized I was talking, I think especially to Bri, I was having a conversation with her about something, and I was like, yeah, and then like, would y'all be my maids of honor? And I was like, wait, I haven't even asked you yet. Like, I'm just assuming that y'all are gonna want to do this and that y'all are gonna say yes. Like, I hadn't even asked you yet. But yeah, that was definitely, I was like, this is one of the biggest moments in my life. And like, someone I thought was my best friend is not happy for me.
Yeah. It's kind of like just that unconditional support. Like, when you told me, like, I appreciated the grace when you were like, I understand if you don't want to come, but like, that just, it wasn't an option in my brain to not come. Like, it's like, yes, this happened and I'm very, very sad for me, but I'm incredibly happy for you. And so, yeah, I was going to stand by your side whether I was boohoo tearing for multiple reasons or not.
Right. It's like, everybody don't got to know why you crying.
It was what it was.
Yeah. And I, like, that meant the world to me. And I genuinely, I don't think that it would have negatively impacted our friendship if you would have been like, girl, I can't love you, but I can't do it. Like, because even that to me lets me know, like, that our friendship is safe enough for you to do that. Yeah. Okay, let's do another question. I keep forgetting to share my screen. Let me show you. See?
Oh, yeah, it's me.
Yes. 1 is going to be a question you answer about yourself. 2 is a question you answer about somebody else. And 3, a question you answer about friendship or us in general.
All right, let's do, I'm going to pick no, y'all pick 2 and 3?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I don't want to talk about me though. Let's do.
Okay, you said 1. Okay. Let's see. What's something you have learned to accept about yourself with time?
Something I've learned to accept about myself. Probably that. Actually, not probably. Like, this is it. So I was reading this book with my therapist a while back, Loving Bravely. And I remember one of the questions it asked me, just to ask, the people around me, what's one thing about me that, what was the question? It was like something like, what's one thing about yourself? Or what's one thing about me that maybe I don't realize, or something like that. I feel like a lot of people are saying, like, I don't think you realize, like, really, like, how great you are. Like, I don't think I really gave myself enough credit for, like, the things that I was doing. It's always, what could I do better? Or, like, staying in my shadow, like, not really presenting myself like I know I'm that girl. But I do think as I've grown, like, I'm able to see how much I've been able to do, like, how much I'm capable of, like, I guess stepping into that bravery that y'all were talking about. Like, definitely didn't think that I would be moving halfway across the country. Like, y'all know how tight I am with my family. And y'all know how sometimes I can be set in my ways. But, realizing that if I just open up and just, if I want to do something, just do it. Yeah, I think I'm just realizing I'm capable of doing really anything that I put my mind to.
Literally anything.
Realizing she that girl. I love it.
Okay. Always has been. You the last one to the party to know that. But no, that's real. That's real.
Yeah,
I love it.
I'm just really proud of the growth.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's part of what makes our friendship so sustainable too, is that we are all growing and evolving and giving space to each other to grow and evolve. Like, it's not always in the same exact ways at the same exact time, but it's like, I don't know. It's a continual progression, you know? So I feel like it doesn't give us room or reason to compare to each other, because we all doing stuff in our own lanes, and like really thriving. And I love bragging about y'all, because I just have amazing friends. I really do.
Y'all the best.
No, really. And people notice too. Like people will
They
say,
do.
they really do. They say great things about us, and I'm like, dang, like y'all
Yeah.
friend group is tight. I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah, even my in-laws, like, they ask about y'all all the time. Like, and they talked about that bridal shower for I don't know how long. It's like they did such a good job. They played it all by this. It was beautiful. Like, they did a great job. And I was like, I know. And that's why I'm like, when I had to start planning my own birthdays, like, this is ghetto.
I remember in college when we used to like surprise each other for each other's birthdays.
Yes.
Like y'all took me horseback riding for
yes.
Like we did a honey bun cake one year. Like
yes. Y'all made me a whole scavenger hunt for my like.
Yeah, I forgot about it.
With $5 in our bank account. Okay,
the love was always there. Like it was
real
always there. We've always been pouring into each other.
Yeah, Secret Santa, even though it was never a secret.
Yeah, whose fault was?
I have no idea. Some people just get really excited about giving gifts.
I guess so.
You know, beautiful. Let's do one more. I'm gonna share my screen so Alexis don't accuse me of cheating. Let's see. Ooh, Bri. I love that your name ended up being Red. I did not plan that. Okay, that's enough of that. What assumption did you make about me that was furthest from the truth?
Oh, this one is a good one. So, y'all, I didn't forget to mention, but what I failed to mention in the beginning, when Sierra and I met at orientation, we gravitated towards each other because we were the only two Black girls,
right? In our orientation group.
Yeah, at the orientation. So just, familiarity, we gravitated towards each other. Now, what I will say is when I first saw Sierra, I was like, she don't really look the friendliest. That is the furthest thing from the truth. Sierra is probably the friendliest person that I know. Maybe
more than you?
Okay. I was gonna say not the most social.
Oh, okay. So
that makes sense. But you are very friendly, right? And so I think that I'm really grateful that we were the only two girls, because that's why we gravitated towards each other, and we have literally been super close since. So
yeah,
that was an assumption that I made, and I was so off.
Yeah, because I'm like, dang, we probably wouldn't have talked like otherwise. I don't tend to look very approachable. I don't have a problem with people approaching me. I think
I approached you. So
yeah,
you probably did.
It's just because you know what? Me being social.
Bri can talk. Bri will make best friends with I could have been a brick wall. I could have been a brick wall, and we still would have been best friends 12 years later, because
it ended up working out.
It did. And I think that's how we balance each other, because there's so many situations I'm like, I wouldn't know nothing about this person or this situation if I wasn't with you. Because you were going to strike up a conversation. We at the tattoo shop, she finna get her first tattoo, and she having a whole conversation with another lady who's there to get a tattoo. I'm like, how do you know this lady's whole life story? Because we happen to be in the waiting room at the same time.
Just love people.
Right. And people open up to you too. They
so easily. Like, they can sense it. I'm like, you are your mama's child.
It's a blessing and a curse, because sometimes I'll be like, dang, I'm really trying to leave this grocery store right now. And it's a bad time, so I'm gonna just stay here.
You can't help it though, because your mom is the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really are your mama's child. Okay, so we've talked a lot about the great times, the wonderful times. We have to talk about the hard times too. Because as close as we are and as close as we have always been, that doesn't mean that there's never been conflict or disagreements or rough patches. It just means we have always worked through them, thankfully, but we have definitely had them. Yeah, when I was like planning this episode, one of the questions that like, and I was like researching what should we talk about, because we just be talking. So I'm like, what should we talk about for other people to listen to? And one of the questions was like, have there ever been moments of tension or misunderstanding? And I'm like, well, duh. Like in 12 years, the only way there's not is if somebody lying all the time. So obviously the answer to that is yes. Are there moments that y'all recall or that like stand out to you of like we were not in a good place? It whether from the extreme of we might not be friends no more to like we just getting on each other's nerves today. Are there moments that stand out to y'all?
I can think of some moments, and I've never felt like we're not gonna be friends anymore.
Yeah.
I have felt like y'all getting on my nerves today.
Mm-hmm.
In this moment.
Mm-hmm.
So for Sierra, I would say, and you probably already know what I'm gonna say, but when you were dating my brother, that was a very tough time for me. I did not like it. I did not like it. And I like looking back and reflecting now, I think a lot of it, one, it was jealousy, right? Like it was like not jealousy that you're dating my brother, but it's like, how my brother get more of your time than me? I'm your best friend. I was here first, right? Or like coming, you know, he's coming to the city. He's coming for you. He's not even coming to spend time with me, you know.
Like, I met him through you. I only knew him because of you. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think for you and your mind, you're like, this is my best friend. She has a twin brother. Like
it's the best of both worlds.
Like he's probably a male version of her.
Yeah. Which is not true. Yeah.
He's not the male version of me. Very, very great guy. I love my brother to death.
Yeah.
I think that with y'all dating, it was just awkward for me because it's like, you tell your best friend about your boyfriend, and there were certain things that I just did not care to know. It was like splitting time and lack of communication. And so it was just very annoying. I never thought that we weren't going to be friends again. And I think at one point I was like, okay, well, at least she'll be your sister-in-law, right? Like if they end up getting married, she'll be your sister-in-law. But it was a little aggravating at the time.
That's one of the first times that stood out to me too. I was just like, I remember we were talking, I think it was like me and him had stopped dating, but we were trying to figure out if we were going to get back together or something. And I was talking to you about it. And you were just like, I just don't think that this is a good relationship for either one of you. Like, I don't, y'all gonna do what y'all want to do. But like, if it was up to me, I would not recommend. And I was just like, I get that, but like, can you just support me anyway? And you said, no.
You know, it's so crazy because
I absolutely cannot.
No, both. It was
right, and you were right. You were right.
Like, I don't think this is gonna work. Like, as much as I would love to have you as a sister-in-law, I just don't think that y'all were compatible.
No, we could have been, I think we could have been great friends. Like, I really do, but like, we were not relationship compatible. But at the time, I'm like, well, if you could be great friends, isn't that what really matters? Is that
you like you don't think about all the stuff that goes into it. But I was like, I don't support this because I feel like it's not going to end well.
Yeah, and it didn't. I mean, it's fine now, but like, I can't say that it did end well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's one of the first things and I think about that randomly sometimes, just like, one, like, that's wild that I dated my best friend's brother, and I just be like, sometimes I'm like, how did Bri forgive me for that? Because it was a really rough time for us. It really was.
Love is love. So I said, you know what? Who am I? If this is supposed to be they supposed to be together, and they the love of each other's lives, who am I to block that?
Yeah.
So.
But you were very clear of like, and I will say, I knew that it was hard for you. I knew you didn't like it, but I also didn't feel like you were a bad friend to me. You know, and I think that that's a testament of all of our friendship too. It's like, I don't have to agree with you. I don't have to like, I wouldn't choose this choice for you, because we have all made some relationship choices that, you know, have been challenging for the friend group. It's like, you know what? At the end of the day, if it goes great, we're going to celebrate together. And if it doesn't, I'm going to listen to you cry about it. And I'm going to love you the same no matter what.
Yeah. And I'm just grateful to hear that you don't feel like I was being a bad friend. I do feel like there were probably times where I was being bitchy because I was annoyed. But
you've never been good at like hiding when you're upset about stuff. So yeah.
I'm not good at it.
And at least you also told me. It wasn't just like she treated me different or she acted funny or I'm hearing from everybody else that you feel a type of way about it. We had multiple conversations about it. So
yeah, I'm glad we were able to talk through it.
Yeah. What about for you, Alexis?
I was thinking about two instances. I don't even remember what year this was, but it was a Christmas function and we were doing our Secret Santa or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, this is a relationship one as well. Like, you know, the relationship that I was in college was not the relationship to be. And y'all knew that, right? And y'all would tell me that all the time.
And you knew that too?
I knew it too, but I wasn't listening. And I didn't like what I was hearing. I'm like, ugh, like, why do they keep saying this? They're not listening to the positive. They're just hearing the negative. But I wasn't hearing enough of the negative, right? I was only seeing the positive. So it was like I needed to hear that. But at that moment, like, I did not want to hear any of that. I was like, I really don't even want to tell them anything else about this relationship. Like, that's where I was at that moment. But y'all knew and I knew. But you don't always want to hear it. So, yeah, I think that was one where it was like, And then I know y'all remember freshman year when my childhood friend.
Yeah, I definitely remember because that was like the first time we ever had conflict.
Yes,
yeah.
We kind of experienced a lot of conflict.
We really don't.
Yeah,
that one was like that was uncomfortable for me.
Yeah.
To the fact where I get up and walk away from y'all, like
and
I didn't say a word. Like
contributors had a role because
absolutely.
It wasn't just us three. It was us. It was another person. It was two other people. And I think that it was one person in particular that was contributing to the conversation, and you felt a little attacked or like badgered maybe.
Yeah.
Whereas the person who was really impacted, I think I had a lot to say, and Sierra, I think you may have had things to say. We didn't get
to say any of it. And
the moment you were like, no, I'm not dealing with this. So,
and it was never supposed to be. I think we had planned to have a conversation, but it was never supposed to be like jump down Alexis' throat about this.
Right.
Somebody got carried away, and you were just like, "What y'all not gonna do is talk to me crazy." So,
and I feel you.
I can't even be mad about that.
Like, dang, I ain't even get to say what I wanted to say.
I know you didn't
even get to say nothing. Yeah, but it was like, I can't even be mad about that.
And we were at Crown.
Yeah.
Food.
Yeah. Oh, that's a big deal.
Yeah, that's real. And because it was literally like, oh, I'm about to sit down. Yeah, it was definitely like an unintentional ambush. Yeah, and it was early in our friendship.
It was.
Yeah.
I don't remember how we bounced back, but what I will say is
I think we ended up having a conversation eventually.
Okay.
Yeah,
I am grateful that we've always been in places where we had conversations, even though they've been uncomfortable. And I think now our adult selves, now that we've gone, all of us have individually gone through so much self-work that we are like, I'm very aware that a lot of times I wear my feelings, right? And so like I try to mitigate that. And I know Alexis is aware that, she doesn't necessarily voice her feelings as much as she needs to sometimes. So it's like, I think through that, if we are, because it's bound to happen again, we're gonna have some type of conflict or something. We can talk through it in a much better way. And come to resolve.
Yeah, I think because I remember like one of the times I think about too, I had came to Charlotte and like for the weekend, and we were just doing like a bunch of stuff. And I remember you texting Bri and just being like, I just might need a couple of days. Like this weekend wasn't great for me. I just need a couple of days to like figure out how I'm feeling. Y'all might not hear from me for a couple of days, like, and that's all that it is. And just even that, I feel like is so huge because it's one, I'm not about to fake it and be in this group chat like it's all sunshine and rainbows. And I want y'all to know, like, it's gonna be fine. I'm gonna be fine. I'm just not right now. And just being able to make space for that in our friendship of y'all getting on my nerves.
It's like sisters, right? Or like siblings, really. It's like, being around people in general, you're gonna get on each other's nerves at some point.
Yeah. I think if the only, I guess maybe regret I have is our senior year. I just feel like our friendship was not in the best, like collectively was not in the best place senior year.
I would agree. Yeah.
And I don't know why. Like, I can't remember why or like how it happened, but it's just, I think that is something I feel like we took for granted. Like just realizing this is our last time that we're all going to be.
Yeah.
And like that we're going to have this much time and have this much opportunity to spend time with each other. I'm glad that it wasn't the end of our friendship, but it was a tough time.
Yeah. And I think too, just the ins and outs of it being senior year, it being a busy time. You know, I crossed my sorority at the time, and I feel like that was just a really busy time too. So
that was just a couple of months before graduation, a month before graduation.
Yeah. So it was like it was just a lot going on that whole year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Grab my charger right there.
Okay. Yeah, it's just like being busy and growing up and
that was like the start of the adult.
Yeah, that's so true.
Like the transition into adult version of our friendship.
Yeah, it was already becoming harder to like schedule time to hang out and all of that because we all had a lot going on. Like, you know, especially like junior year, you really into your major classes. And it's not fun and games no more.
Yeah.
Right. Internships.
Yeah, that is a time that I'm like, if there was ever, I don't have regrets in general, but if it's like something I could go back and change or fix, it would be that time of our friendship.
I definitely think we weren't as close as far in comparison to
years. Yeah, and I think it made it hard just like thinking about moments of like conflict or misunderstanding because I was the only one that went to grad school right away. Partly because I don't know what else to do but go to school again. And so one, already feeling like there was some distance, and then grad school was, well, I thought it was grad school kicking my tail, and maybe it was a little bit, but it was also depression. Like kicking my tail. It's like I had experienced depression for years, like even before then, but I feel like it was worse in grad school. I think just the combination of all the things, like grad school, it was 2016. And we know what was going on in the world in 2016, fall of 2016 in particular. It was just a lot going on. And I was just like, I have my friends, but I don't have them like I used to. And when we were all in school together, that's a shared experience. We all knew what that was like. It's like, I don't even know how to explain how grad school is kicking my tail and how I feel like I'm at the wrong grad school, but it's too late to do anything about that. And it's just like, and I'm depressed, but I didn't fully realize that I was depressed. It's like, yes, I can talk to them about it, but are they really going to get it? But it's like, we didn't have to wait this long to have this conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was like culture shock. It's like, you go from, being together and not really having to worry. And like, I don't think any of us like worked OD hard in undergrad. Like it was like, we studied, we did what we needed to do, but it didn't kick our ass.
It wasn't a struggle like that. Yeah.
But that transition into adulthood, like that's something serious that a lot of people really just don't talk about enough. Like it's no joke. It's a big change.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything. It's like everything is different.
Yeah.
And you're trying to figure it out, and you got responsibilities at the same time as you trying to figure it out. It was just a lot. It was a lot. But yeah, we bounced back. We survived it. I think we had more uncomfortable conversations and we kept going. I was going to ask about vulnerability too, but we've already been kind of talking about that a little bit. And how it, well, in some ways, I was going to say it hasn't always been a part of our friendship, but in some ways it has, because I even think back to freshman year, just as we were getting to know each other more and sharing more about our families and, just like the good, the not so good, and some of the hard stuff that comes along with being an adult and like thinking about your family or your family experiences. So I do feel like in some ways vulnerability has always been a part of our friendship. And as I'm thinking about it, I think I told y'all about my trauma before I told my mom. I'm pretty sure, because I think I told y'all when I started going to that group.
It was either, so it was either before you told your mom or very shortly
Or
after.
right after. Yeah, I feel like
yeah,
something around that same time. And it's like, this is not a conversation that I just be having out loud with people.
Right.
But it was like, these are my people. Like, if I'm gonna talk to anybody about it, it's gonna be y'all. Y'all have always been incredibly supportive and like all of those things. Like, even just recognizing little things, like knowing I don't like to sit with my back to the door and offering to switch seats with me, like just stuff like that. So I'm like, yeah, in some ways vulnerability has always been a part of our friendship, but it definitely has grown and gotten deeper. I think just as we've gotten older and all doing our own work. And it's like you said, Bri, 12 years in, it ain't nothing y'all can tell me that I'm gonna feel some type of way about you. Just be like, It might be like, oh, that I wouldn't have expected that. Like, I didn't. Okay,
all right.
Not what I would have chosen for you, but okay, we here now.
We here now.
Yeah. We here now. Yeah.
I just also think that just recognizing the power of vulnerability, at least for me personally, and knowing like that's really what it takes to create deep relationships, right? Like, and I mean, honestly, I don't feel uncomfortable being vulnerable with y'all now because I know that it's a safe place to land. Speaking like y'all were speaking earlier about like me being basically like anti-men, anti-marriage and all that, is because it's scary to be vulnerable with men because I'm like, I don't know if this is a safe place. But I think that over time, actually very early on, I recognized that y'all were just a safe place to land. And so it's a little bit easier in this space.
Yeah. And it's like, again, okay, I'm gonna ask another question that I pulled out earlier. How has our friendship, this is for all of us to answer, how has our friendship raised your standards for all the rest of your friendships?
It's raised the standards in the fact that I feel more comfortable letting friends go that don't need to be in my circle. When you can make those comparisons, why hold on to a friendship that you're having to fight and jump hoops for and do the most when you have friends that you know are going to be there unconditionally, no matter what, and they're not going to make you pass an impossible test to be there for them, right? Or vice versa. So yeah, the standard is high. Like, if you're not helping me grow, if you're not adding value, if I don't think I can go to you and be honest, if you don't think you can come to me, baby, I'm not the friend for you. The standard's just there. I don't need a big circle of friends. Like I tell everybody, my circle is small, but it's tight, it's warm, there's love, it's the safe space. Like, that's all I need.
I think I've seen both of y'all. Like, it's so interesting being someone's friend and seeing their friendships. Because a lot of times, like, I see how people have treated y'all. So it's really good to know, like, this friendship really helps set the standard for others. For me, I think it just helps me put friends in categories. And, like, I'm recognizing that I'm a very deep person. Like, I just like deepness. I like intimacy. And it's so interesting because I be running from it. But I love intimacy. I love deepness. I love being able to dive into conversations like these or like expand my mind and things like that. And I think I've had to realize, like, girl, every friendship isn't going to be that, right? Like, you just going to have some friends that you go outside with. Like, stop trying to make fetch happen. Like, you just trying to force this type of friendship on this person. It's like, it's just not going to be that. And so, like, me, I think I've been able to categorize friendships a little bit better, because it's like, okay, this is the standard for a deep friend, right? I need that. And this person right here, like, she might not be the safest to share all the things with, but like, she's a great person to go out and go to brunch with and all the things.
Yeah, I feel like my answer is a combination of both of y'all's. Like, it is absolutely, I feel like I either have, sometimes I say I don't have friends. I either have best friends or people I know. Like, my friends are my best friends because I don't be making friends like that because I don't want to. And like, we 12 years in, like this took a lot to build to what it is. And I just like, do I have that in me to do that again with somebody else, you know? Because now that I know what it takes to really have such a safe and vulnerable and life-giving friendship, I don't know that I have it in me to do that. I am more, not cautious, but I am more clear on who I call a friend because that means something different to me than it might have meant 12 years ago. And so I have learned to be comfortable, become okay with not overplaying my role in people's life and recognizing I may not be that like deep friend for them. I may be, you know, we kiki every now and again, and that's fine. Like, I literally have a friend from college. Pretty much the only time we talk is on each other's birthday. Like, she always texts me on my birthday. I always text her on her birthday. And if you look at our thread, it's literally just happy birthday, thank you, happy birthday, thank you. Like, for years at this point. It's like, I'll probably never forget her birthday, but it's like, that's our dynamic. And if I saw her in person, we'd probably laugh or catch up a little bit, but it's not this. And I'm okay with that. I don't feel like I need to try to get closer to people just for the sake of it. And I'm also like, sometimes I do think is that I'm spoiled because I don't have to make friends because I already have friends.
That part.
Like, they just don't live here. I already have friends. But I'm working on that too. And I've been socializing and talking to people, talking to strangers, which y'all know how I feel about that. But I've been doing it.
Love it.
Yes, but this is definitely the standard of, if I can't trust you, if I can't share with you, and we can't be vulnerable together, that's okay, but we are not friends. And that is like, it's okay. We don't have to be. Have you ever had a friendship breakup before? And if so, what did it teach you?
I think we all have collective friend breakup and then individual friend breakups. Yeah. I would say our collective friend breakup taught me that sometimes people grow apart and that's okay. And then sometimes, and that growing apart, I don't know. I think sometimes it's not even growing apart. Maybe I don't even want to say it's values, but that's the only word that's coming to mind. Like, values change, or what was once important to someone may not be important any longer. And just allowing them that space, right? Like, it's interesting because earlier I was talking about, my grief with Greg and how my process was my process and y'all allowed me my process. And I think for me, just recognizing that sometimes people's processes means that they value different people and different things now. And that's tough. But I think it taught me that. And it also taught me that God places people on your path, and sometimes that's for forever, and sometimes there's a fork in the road and y'all just go separate ways, and you just have to be grateful for whatever that experience was, and then just keep going down the rest of your path.
People grow apart. I also feel like I had to learn that just because a friendship has been so long doesn't mean that you have to hold on to it. And I think that was hard for me to understand for a while. I was like, no, like, I'm not letting this go. But you can't hold on to something that's not holding on to you.
That's a fact.
Yes, a fact. And like for a while, like it made me feel like I was a bad friend. Like I was reflecting. I'm like, what was I doing wrong? Like what could I have done different? But then I had to step back and be like, Alexis, okay, what could she have done different? Like, as a collective, like friendship is not a one-way road. And just understanding reasons and seasons. Like people are in your life for reasons. Some people are in your life just for seasons. And I learned from the seasons. I enjoyed the season, but there's always a time to, move on from that. And now I'm comfortable with that. And I feel like being okay with that is a lesson. It's okay to let people go. I can still always have a love for them, but it's going to be a different type of love. Like, what I give is going to be different. What I trust people with would be different. Yeah, just like how I show up in that would be different. But
do you feel like you end up not being, or like you end up being less of your full self or authentic? Like, do you feel like it's made you more hesitant to get close to people or make new friends? Like you hold back?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
I don't think so. Actually, no, I don't think so at all. Because I mean, I still make friends.
So you've made plenty friends since.
Yeah, like I feel like I've not made more friends, but I have more of a community here kind of than I did in Charlotte outside of y'all. Like y'all were my community outside of my family, but here, other variables have to play. Like y'all know I was working all kinds
17
of
jobs.
Right. So I didn't have time. But I'm out here making friends as an adult. It's not like a friendship like ours, of course, but I'm still open to making friendships and still open to opening up to other people.
And who knows where those friendships could be 12 years from now.
Right.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I'm sorry. Was there more you were going to say about what you learned? I just wanted to ask you that before I forgot.
No.
Okay. Yeah. From our mutual friend breakup, I similarly was doing a lot of reflecting of like, what did I do? Like, where did this go wrong? Am I just actually a terrible friend and nobody has told me? And the more I thought about it, I'm like, that doesn't make sense with other friendship experiences that I have had. But it definitely sent me into I don't have to tell y'all that. Like, definitely sent me into a spiral for a while, like just questioning all the things and trying to figure out, like, what do I need to do to make this better? How can I fix it? Because I was really feeling like, oh, this must be my fault. Like, I must be at fault, for this breakup. And then realizing it does take two people. And I was so focused on, have I hurt this person? What have I done to upset them, that I ignored and downplayed the ways they hurt me? Like not being happy for me getting married and just not being present through that whole, time or process. And so what I learned is, how can I say it? Sometimes your best ain't good enough, and you just got to be okay with that. Like, I could be the best friend that I know how to be to somebody, and it might not be enough for them, or it might not be good enough for them. And it just is what it is. And especially because the way y'all know, if I feel like you mad at me or I feel like it's an issue, eventually I'm going to text you or call you and say, what, you mad at me? What is it? Like, do we need to talk about something? And you can either be like, yes, we do, I'm not ready to talk about it yet. Or like, yes, we can go ahead and talk about it. Or no, girl, ain't nobody mad. Ain't nobody even thinking about you. But I'm like, if there's an issue that we could work through and resolve it, why not do that? Because my friendships are important to me. Like, they're valuable to me. And after trying that multiple times for years, actually, and just realizing that's not something they were interested in. It's not something that they wanted to do. They didn't want to fix it. They didn't want to resolve it. They didn't want any type of, even if the resolution would have been, I don't rock with you no more, and here's why, like that would have been, I'd have been okay with that. But that was still more than what they wanted to do or what they wanted to offer. I don't have to like it, but I can respect it, and I can live with the fact that I can be the best friend I know how to be, and it just might not be enough for somebody.
You made a really good point about like, you want to fix it because this is something that you really value. And I think, earlier when I was talking, I really do think that values change, right? And I just feel like this person just didn't value the friendship as much anymore. I feel like if and this is just from my perspective, but I do think that if you truly do value something, you, although it might be uncomfortable, although you know might not want to, you're like, okay, well, I value this enough to be uncomfortable, or I value this enough to
To
try.
at least try, yeah.
And I think that that's really what the realization I came to was just like, okay, well, the value's just not there. So
Like in this moment, like today, like how do you feel about letting that mutual breakup go?
Like I made it so that I can't reach out to them. Like I deleted their contact. I don't have their number memorized. So I know like I'm never going to reach out again. I can't. My phone would probably catch on fire if they reached out to me, because my mom asked about them recently and I was like, Mama, I ain't talked to her. I was like, if we've been married almost 4 years, I probably ain't talked to her at all in 3.
Yeah.
So it is still hard sometimes because we were friends so long. Like I was friends with her for years before I knew y'all. We were probably 12 when we met, like, and got closer in high school. And so there's just like, there are a lot of memories, like just random stuff that I'm like, I would have told her about that. We would have talked about that. We would have went to that event together, like, or at least would have talked about it. So that part is still hard. And it was a friendship that I really did value a lot. And we went through a lot of ups and downs together too, even before college. I don't want to be friends with nobody that don't want to be friends with me.
Yeah.
Especially when I have people who genuinely do want to be friends with me and act accordingly. Like, and even to the point of having the hard, uncomfortable conversations. Like, that's a part of friendship to me. So it is still hard sometimes. I still think about her sometimes, and I say a prayer and wish her well in my mind and move on.
Right, that's the part. It's like no hate. I mean,
it's no hate, none.
We're not those type of people, but we can't let it weigh on us. Yeah.
Now,
it's interesting.
You don't get to spin the block on me. I will say that.
Yeah, that's spin the block. That's what I was thinking about, because like you think about dating, and I feel like a lot of women talk about like their friends like going after men who don't want them and stuff like. I don't think that that's our problem. I think that it's like, oh, when it's a friendship, it's like, okay, wait, like relationship, and it's like, we, but thinking about it, like, cut it off, because you wouldn't do this for no man.
Would not. Could not.
After a while, and granted, I think friendships get a lot more grace, right, than men.
Yeah.
But after a while, it's like you don't want to come across as if you're begging someone.
And that's what it started to feel like. Yeah.
F you so many times before
I believe you. Like, okay.
I literally said that out of my mouth.
You can only say this time behind. Like that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
It is interesting because I do wonder, like, the whole spin the block thing, but at this point I don't see it. I don't see that happening.
I don't see it happen. And it's like, I'm like, if she said today, like, okay, I'm ready to have that conversation. I've thought about that sometimes. Like, would I still have the conversation now? And part of me, the nosy part of me is like, yeah, because what you gonna say? Yeah. Like, how you gonna explain? Like, what could you have to say? But I don't think that it would do anything for me, But things change. Yeah, things change. Things change. They do. Yeah. And I wish that was my last friendship breakup, but it was not.
You've had a few.
I have. And that's why I'm just like, is it me?
Girl, no.
Is it me? Like, is it me?
Out of my eyes.
Like, I think the last one is the most recent friendship breakup taught me. That's what taught me not to overplay my role in people's life. Like, yeah, and that just because the first one taught me that both people have to want it to work in order for it to work. And the second one taught me that just because you can make it work doesn't mean you should or that you have to. Because I think we could have stayed friends if one or both of us was willing to not be our full selves. And I just worked too hard to be happy with my authentic self to not. Yeah.
Now, who wants to be friends with somebody you can't be yourself with?
When that's never been my experience. Like, again, like we've been friends so long that we have seen each other go through all types of phases and stages, and I'm super into this and like I ain't think about that no more, like, you know, and it's all been like, okay. Like, I've had friends who want to get to know different sides of me and different versions of me, and so I didn't understand how that wasn't an option in this friendship. And y'all were the ones who were like, she just don't want to be your friend no more, girl. Like, she giving you all types of reasons and excuses, but it really just sounded like she don't want to be your friend no more. And the more I thought about it, I'm like, no, that's exactly what it is. Because it's not that I'm not willing to make this work. It's like, you don't want to. Once you see the writing on the wall, it's like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I do think that it comes a little more now, and that's probably just because I am more avoidant. I think, and I think it's like, okay, like, yes, I value this, and I'm gonna try to make it work, but it's like, okay, well, it's not working. So I do think it is probably a little like I'm more quick to realize it and just be like, okay, well, I'm just gonna be hands off. Like, I can't overplay my part here.
Yeah,
because it was, I think it was that way with my own personal friendship breakup that I went through. It was just kind of like, okay, well, I keep trying to have a conversation and this person is just not having it or not being this way. And then also
recent?
Like, yes.
Okay.
And also just reflecting, it's like, you're being kind of mean to me, actually. Like, I don't really know how I feel about this. That's when it's like, yeah,
I had some of that too. And again, I was like justifying, and I'm like, no, like, you just got to know her and like just know how she talk. And again, y'all were like, no, like, that's not how you talk to friends, like, upset or not. Like, that's another thing. Like, at our worst, like, it don't get disrespectful when when we're disagreeing or upset with each other. It does not get disrespectful. And that's probably how we're able to bounce back, because we don't cross the line of no return, like, you know, and not because we can't, like,
right. I think it's just that unconditional, the love, like, it's really just the love. It's like, okay, well, I love and respect you too much. Like, if anything, like, okay, I'm not, like Alexis, text the group, I'm not in a place to have this conversation, or I'm not in a place to talk right now, but we'll circle back when we are in a place to do that. Like, I think if anything is that, but like the whole disrespect, like, I've heard crazy stuff, and I'm like,
wild stuff. I'm just,
y'all did what?
Be throwing hands at each other.
They do. No, they do. They really do. Like, I'm like, putting, like, that's your friend, that's your best friend, and it got to the point that y'all putting hands on each other.
And that's like, the point of no return.
Yeah, for real.
A lot too about, and again, when I say we're similar at our core, like, we have same core values, I think that just speaks a lot to us as people. It's like, we're not putting our hands on anybody,
right? And we're not tolerating it from anybody either. So it's like, that would absolutely be the point of no return.
Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Or like,
there's nobody that can put their hands on me and I still want to be in relationship with them.
No, like, once you put your hands on me, like, first of all,
you hate me. you hate me.
My brain does not compute.
No, I can't wrap my mind around that. Like, I don't want you yelling at me. Like, so putting your hands on me is like, oh, okay, you could have just said you hate me.
Right.
Because you obviously do. You know, every relationship ain't gonna last, you know? But it's like, when you think you found, like, your forever best friend, and then it turned out not to be forever, that sucks.
Yeah, it does.
That really does suck.
And it's kind of hard to get out of that headspace, too, like, that's my best friend.
Yeah.
It changes, like, certain conversations, or it just changes the way, like, you respond to things. Like, people ask me stuff, and I'll be like, well, because, like, one of my friendship breakups is kind of recent. I'm like, well, how do I even, like, introduce or, like, mention this person? Like, what is the dynamic now? It's weird.
It's weird. So, what do I even? It took me a while to stop calling her my friend, because it was just like, that's not true. But what am I supposed to say? My ex-friend? So to people who don't know her, or like don't know that we were friends, like, she is somebody I went to college with. And that, like, when I hear myself say that, I'm like,
it sounds crazy.
That sounds crazy.
Especially knowing the close, because the thing is, like, she was very much a part of this group.
Yes.
Like, us, right? And so, like, that would be like me saying, like, oh yeah, this person I went to college with about one of y'all. Like, I can't envision myself doing that.
No, it makes no sense. Yeah, it's like I don't care if I haven't talked to y'all in weeks. Like, y'all are my best friends.
My best friend.
Like,
yeah, my best friend.
It just is, you know. It's like, yeah, I just like, yeah, somebody. Oh yeah, that happened to somebody I went to college with. And it sounds crazy saying it, but it's how folks want it to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for tuning in to From the Heartside Out, hosted by See the Sex Lady, produced by Christine Johnson of Pure Pod Vibes, and music by Rico the Artist. If you enjoyed this episode or learned something new, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on your platform of choice. And don't forget to share with a friend so they can learn something too. I'd love to hear your thoughts about this episode. Please send any comments or questions to podcast@seethesexlady.com. That's podcast@seethesexlady.com. Until next time, keep loving, living, and leading from the heart side out.